I want to thank GACC and the EthnoFest for inviting me to attend the festival at the end of September, and also for joining all of you today to talk about opportunities in the U.S. market for global artisan products. My name is Karen Gibbs, and I am the co-founder of By Hand Consulting. By Hand Consulting is a private company that coaches artisan businesses around the world in how to create focused marketing strategies and enter into the U.S. market. I founded By Hand Consulting after spending 25 years in the sector, helping artisan businesses in more than 60 countries really evaluate their export marketing potential, create marketing plans, develop products, reach new buyers, and develop long-term sales. So I'm so honored to be invited by GACC to attend the EthnoFest this year. It will be my third time in Tbilisi and joining this market. So my role in attending the market this time is to identify artists that have potential to sell successfully in the U.S. market and to provide advice to those artisan brands and artists on what they need to do in order to be successful in reaching U.S. buyers. So as a first step in this process, I like to start by sharing information about the market so you can understand when we have questions and conversations together what kind of opportunities I am referring to. So my goal is that this presentation will help answer some of the questions you have already, and that it may also help you define new questions that you can ask me when we see each other at the end of the month. So what we will discuss today is I will share an overview of the U.S. market for global handmade products. We'll talk about are artisan products popular today and why. Second, we will talk about how international artisans, like all of you, can be successful in the U.S. market. We'll specifically talk about what products sell and what are the expectations of U.S. buyers. And really, this is all for the goal of understanding the customer so well that your product and the service that you're providing sells itself. So this is one of the mantras of our work. We quote the words from Peter Drucker that the aim of marketing is to understand your customer so well that the product or service fits him and sells itself. So rather than thinking about what you make and what you're offering, my goal is to help coach you to see your product through the eyes of the consumer and the buyer in the U.S. So let's dive in. So interest in handmade and artisan products is stronger today than I have ever seen it in the market. Like I said, I've been working in this market for more than 25 years. And when we started 25 years ago, artisan products were not very understood. They were only sold in very niche, specialized markets. Today we see artisan products all over the marketplace, and I'll describe what I mean. We see artisan products that exist at all levels of the market. So I like to explain this by using this U.S. market segmentation, where we think of the market like a pyramid. And at the top of the market, we have the luxury market, where prices are very high. Quality and design and brand is very, very high. And the volumes, the quantities, are small and exclusive. Then we have the mainstream market. That's the middle part of the market. That's where prices are more moderate, quality and design is important, but it's not so high. And the volumes are medium size. Then we have the mass market. This is where prices are very, very low. People want to buy things that are inexpensive. It's where the design and the quality are not as important to the customer. And it's where the volumes are very, very big. Most artisan products compete most successfully in the upper portion of the mainstream market. That said, artisan products today exist in all of these categories. So we see on the right-hand side an example of Norla. This is a Tibetan company that sells luxury textiles for the home and fashion. So very high-end, very expensive, very exclusive, very high quality, 100% artisan made. In the middle, we have País Textiles. These are hand-woven textiles from Peru, and they've been very successful at creating a home textile line and a fashion textile line that appeals to the mainstream market. Below, we have Beadworks Kenya. They have beaded gift and accessory items that they produce many, many of them, big volumes at low prices, and they've reached into that mass market. So whereas historically, most products have succeeded very well in that middle part of the mainstream market, today we see products at all levels, which is really exciting. That means that the consumer is interested in handmade products in both the handmade market, the mainstream market, and the luxury market. So it's really up to you to decide where you're best positioned. Artisan products also exist in all categories. So we see artisan, handmade, folk art products in both the home category, the fashion category, and the gift category. Historically, 25 years ago, most of the artisan products existed only in the gift category, but we've seen them expand into these other categories. So in home, we have things like accent furniture, textiles, art, things for the tabletop and kitchen and dining, products for the garden, lighting, rugs, and decorative accessories. In the fashion market, we have clothing. We have shoes, jewelry, handbags, scarves, and other fashion accessories. And in the gift category, we have smaller items that retail in the $10, $25, and $50 price category that can be given as gifts. Here are some examples. These are all products from companies that By Hand Consulting has worked with. So we have rugs from Colombia. We have pillows from Peru. We have pillows from Uzbekistan. We have table runners from Peru. We have placemats and table textiles from India. We have baskets from Guatemala. We have coconut shell from the Philippines. We have decorative accessories from Malawi, and we have ceramics from Taiwan. So all of these products fit within the home category. They're all handmade. They all are made by a traditional technique and by a small artisan enterprise, and they've all competed very well in the home category. Again, we have products in the fashion category. These are all companies that By Hand Consulting has worked with in the last few years. So we have hats and bags from Colombia. We have shawls and hats from Peru. We have jewelry from Ethiopia made out of artillery shells, recycled artillery shells. We have pure silver from Nepal. We have silver jewelry from Guatemala, wood bangles from Haiti, belts from Kenya. We have tasseled necklaces from Ecuador. We have leather bags from Ethiopia, shoes from Guatemala, a beautiful shawl from Peru, leather products from Haiti, and a hand-woven clutch from the Philippines. All, again, are artisan handmade products that are competing very well in the fashion category. Likewise, we also have gift items. So these are small items that will be given as gifts. We have soap from Haiti, toys from Haiti, embroidered ornaments from Palestine, keychains from Tanzania, iron Christmas ornaments from Haiti, note cards from the South Pacific Islands, and tassels from Ecuador. So in all of these categories, we've seen products compete. One interesting thing to note is that people, consumers and buyers purchase products based on how they're going to be used in the US home and the American home. So we really need to position your product in one of these categories because that helps the consumer understand how they can use it and make it useful in their life, how it can be functional to them. There's very few customers in the US who are going to go out and buy a product from Georgia, right? Or from the Caucasus. They're going to go out and buy a product because they need to give a gift, or they're going to go out and buy a product because they want some new jewelry to match their new outfit they just bought, or they're going to go out and buy products because they're decorating their house. So we really need to think about placing your product in those categories and building out selection in those categories. So we coach artisan businesses to not think about having a Georgian collection of products, for example. We coach artisan businesses to think about having a home collection or a fashion collection or a gift collection of products. It helps your product be better understood and better identified in the market. Artisan brands also exist in all channels. So when I started in this market 20 years ago, this first channel on the left-hand side was how most products made it to the US. So you would have the artisan, this is you, selling to an importer or wholesaler in the US who sells onto the retail store, who sells onto the end consumer. Now what we see is there's more and more artisan brands like all of you who are selling directly to retail stores in the US. And then that retail store sells on to the end consumer. Likewise, we even see some artisan brands who come and participate in shows in the US and sell directly to the end consumer, or some artisan brands that are selling online directly to the end consumer. So we see artisan brands existing in all of these channels. Really, the key for you and a business is to choose the one channel that's right for you and stick to that channel. With all of these things, the market position, the product category, and the channel, there are opportunities today for you to sell at any of those market positions, in any of those product categories, and in any of these channels. So while there is many opportunities, the challenge for you is to choose the right position and to stay focused on one specific market position, product category, and channel. The biggest mistake we see artisan producers and brands making is when they try to spread themselves too thin. So when they try to sell some luxury products and some mass market products, some home and some fashion, and where they try to sell directly to the end consumer, also to the retail store. So a lot of our coaching will be about helping you focus in on the right market position, the right product category, and the right channel for your business, your product, and what you want to achieve. So that's a lot about what I will be speaking with you about when I come to Georgia in September. So now let's think a little bit about why, right? Why are artisan products so popular today? I have many people ask me, is this a fad? Is this something that's going to end soon? And my answer is no. I don't think it's a fad. And the reason why I don't think it's a fad is because there are several market trends that are feeding interest into artisan products. And for that reason, I think that the interest in handmade and artisan products and global handmade and global artisan products is going to continue for a long time into the future. One of these market trends is the trend around authenticity. So today's consumer is really driven to purchase products from companies that they perceive as being authentic. This means companies that they feel like they can trust and that has clear values and a real personality to it, right? And a unique sense of self and community. So this is very much a reaction to so many products, mass-produced products, right? Mass-produced products that are available everywhere at low prices. Consumers are reacting against that. They're now seeking products that are real, that have a story behind them, that have a tradition behind them, that have a maker behind them, that come from an interesting place. Because those products enrich their lives. It gives them something to talk about, something to learn, something to differentiate themselves from other people in the market. So in consumers' thirst for this authentic product and authentic experience, they're driven to artisan products, right? Because artisan products and handmade product inherently have a story of origin to them. They have a story of tradition behind them. They have a story about where they're from. They have a story of the materials. They have a story of the techniques. They have the story of the motifs. So they feed consumers' interest in authentic products and authentic brands. Here I give an example of a company called The Citizenry. And all of their collections are named and organized around the country that they're from. And they're all for the home. And they really tell the story of the origin of the product. So the materials, the artisans, the land, how it reflects all of that. So for that, they've created a very authentic product, and they're doing very, very well in the market today. Another example of an authentic product is Sidai Designs from Tanzania. They're working with Masai beaders, and they've done extremely well in the market as well. I think very much for this reason of a very authentic story. It's modern because the color is now all white and not brightly colored like we see many of the traditional jewelry. So they've modified the design, but the technique and the producer is still very authentic to the place. So we found authenticity means different things to different age groups of consumers. So to the older consumers, authenticity means brands that have a long history and heritage. Right? And to younger consumers, the millennials, they're more drawn to brands that have a sense of personality and support a worthy cause. So they're making a difference in the world. So I imagine for all of you listening to this, you have a story behind your product. You have a story about yourself that's either about history and heritage, or it's a story of you and your artistic personality and your reason for doing your business. So you see in this trend of authenticity, what you're selling is not just your product. What you're selling is your own story of why you make the products that you make, how you make them, where they come from. Consumers want to know about you. They value that. So what you need to do in order to be successful is not just have a product, you also have to tell your story. So that's a big part of your marketing, because your story is unique to you. Somebody might be able to copy your product, but nobody can copy your story. So it is your unique brand, is your story. Another trend that we see is this desire to make a social impact with your purchases. So today in the US, we're a very divided country, and consumers are frustrated at our political system, and they very much want to make a difference in the world. So we see an increasing number of Americans who are choosing to vote with their dollars and use their purchasing power as a way to make a statement about what they care about. So we see that 89% of Americans would switch to brands that is associated with a good cause, given similar price and quality. So this is very important. Somebody won't buy a product because it helps a community or helps an artist if the product is at a much higher price and if the quality is not as good. But if the price is competitive and the quality is competitive, then they will choose the product that is doing good in the world, that's making the world a better place. So, and a majority of consumers continues to seek out products that are socially and environmentally possible whenever they can. So not only will they switch if given a choice, but they'll also go and look for products that have an impact. So we see this, here's an example of a bag, and in the marketing they're also talking about the young woman who leads the workshop that makes the bag. So we have a lot of transparency about where a product comes from and who makes it and who is employed and where do they live and why is this job important. So social impact can mean different things to different people. I'll show you the next example. This is West Elm. So West Elm is one of the retail chains in the Williams-Sonoma family of companies. So this is one of the largest retailers in the US, this family of companies. And so they have a very clear social impact strategy. They talk to consumers about the power of their purchase and what is the impact. So to them, impact means it's handcrafted, which means it's providing employment, oftentimes cottage industry employment, to artisan communities that are preserving traditional craft techniques and supporting women. They also support fair trade. So this can be handmade products or factory-made products, but ensuring safe and healthy work environments. They're interested in organic, so they aren't treated with pesticides or insecticides or herbicides, and they conserve natural resources like water. They're sustainably sourced, so they're very interested in the wood and the dyes and the other materials involved to make sure that they're not destroying endangered species and being mindful of the impact on the environment at all levels. And then they also want to support local artists. And they have very clear goals. So you can see impact for a company like West Elm means many different things, right? It means handcrafted or fair trade or organic or sustainable or supporting local artists. Here's another example. This is the International Folk Art Market, which is in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And their impact, they're driven to preserve traditional craft techniques and support master craftsmen. So that's how they define their impact. Really for you, what you get to decide is what is your impact and what matters most to you. So there's not one definition of impact that best serves or is of interest to buyers in the US. It's a wide variety. So really what's the most important thing is that you choose something that is important to you and that it aligns with your brand. But you can see artisan products have so many interesting angles to impact, so many interesting stories to tell. And I believe that's one of the reasons why there's just growing interest in artisan products. But again, what this means for you is the opportunity, that it also means that you're going to not only sell your product, but also tell your story. So now that we've looked at all of this interest in the market, right, and you can see that success is also based on you being specific, right? So you positioning yourself very specifically. I just want to take you through 2 steps, and this is really what I'm going to be focusing on mostly when I am with you all at the end of September. So it's really how can you be successful in reaching the US market? And I want to focus on the first 2 steps. So first I want to talk about having a sellable product, right? We're not going to be successful entering the US market unless you have a product that is going to attract the attention of buyers. So that's the first step. And then the second step is preparing for the expectations of buyers. So it's not just about getting the interest of the buyer, but it's about engaging the buyer and developing a relationship, a long-term relationship with the buyer. And in order to develop a long-term relationship, you need to understand what they are going to expect from you. So let's talk more about this. Step 1 is having a sellable product. So this means a product that is going to interest buyers and consumers in the US. I see that there are 5 components to a sellable product. The first is design. So the first thing that's going to attract a buyer to you and your product is the design. So in their head, they're thinking, do I like it? Is it attractive? Is it pretty? Is it interesting? Is it unique? So do I like it? Design. The second component is function. Okay, I like it. Now, will I use it? Is it the right size that will fit in my house or fit with my other accessories? Does it fit my lifestyle and how I spend my time and how I spend my money? The third is price. Okay, now I like it. I know I'm going to use it. Let's look at the price. Can I afford it? So does it make sense for your target customer? And is it competitive? How does it compare to other comparable products in the market? Remember, we saw in that survey that buyers will switch. They will buy a product that has more impact, but only if it's at a price and quality, right? Quality of design that's comparable to products that are in the market. The fourth component is selection. So is there enough variety in your offer so that customers can select something that will meet their interests? And then fifth is story. So what is the impact? What impact is going to be made by that consumer purchasing your product? Or how is it authentic? So these are the 5 components. When I'm looking at products and evaluating them for producers, for artisan businesses that I'll be doing with you at the end of the month, these are the things that go through my head. First, I'm going to see design. Is it attractive? Do I think that people will like it? Function, will they use it? Price, is it competitive to other things in the market? Selection, is there enough variety here? And story, what's the story behind this? And how is the story being told? And will it engage people? So those are really the criteria. Let's look a little bit more about that. So in terms of design, one question that people ask me often is, what kind of design, right? What is popular? What designs are popular right now in the US market? And remarkably, there's just many. There's not one design that's overarching the most successful or popular in the market. And I think that's because in the US, we all crave to express our own individuality. So we see modern design, traditional, bohemian, country, retro, eco, all kinds of designs. So really anything goes. What is key is that you have a distinct design and you stick to it. You don't try to have something that's modern and something that's traditional and something that's country. Really stick with your style and find the customer that's right for that. The second is function, and we've already talked about this, so I won't go into more detail, but really understanding, is the product that you're offering something that Americans use on a daily basis? So, and building your collection around one of these three categories. So not having a Georgian collection, but really having a home collection or a fashion collection or a gift collection. Price. So this is a tricky one. The most important thing is to know, is it competitive in comparison to other comparable products in the market? And here are some bags that I saw at the Ethnofest 2 years ago when I was there and fell in love with. So some wonderful hand-woven bags. And I found some bags in the US market that I think are comparable. So I found one bag for $225, and I found this bag for almost $300. Now, these two bags are bigger than these bags here, but still it's a good comparison. So what we're going to do to compare the pricing is we're going to take the export price, so that's the price of the product from Georgia. We're going to add the cost of shipping to the US, and then we're going to multiply it anywhere from 2 times to 2.5 times to see what the retail price is. So an example, let's say this bag was $50 and that it was going to cost $15 per unit to ship to the US. So we would take $50 plus 15 and we'd multiply it by 2 to get to 130. Or we do by 2.5 to get to 165. So you can see this product, these bags, are competitive with other products in the market. So that's great. That's the equation that we use in order to determine if those prices. So you'll see one of the things is it's really important that you know what the shipping cost will be to get your product to the US and to that customer. So selection. Very often I'll see one product that is just beautiful and amazing, and I know that consumers in the US will like it. Well, one product doesn't sell when you're doing export marketing. You need to have at least 7 to 10 selections within a product line in order to attract customers. So I'm not looking just, is there one product that is sellable, but is there a whole selection that makes a collection of products that will attract consumers? So that's something you can build out in your product development, is how do you offer that selection and variety? And last is story. Right, here's the story of some beautiful jewelry from Nepal, handcrafted in Nepal, and they tell the story of the techniques and the people who make it. So what is the impact and how is authentic? So one thing that we'll be looking at is, what is the story behind the product? The second is, how are you telling that story? So that's what you'll need to do in your marketing materials. So those are really the criteria. We look at design, function, price, selection, and story. And when you evaluate all of those and you make sure they're right, that's when you know you have a sellable product. The second step is really meeting the expectations of buyers. And again, what I coach artisan businesses in doing is not thinking about selling your product. So don't think about selling your product. Think about developing relationships. And when you think about developing relationships, what happens is that you create long-term sales. So if you can put on the mentality of developing a relationship with a customer, you build the foundation of trust that allows that customer to purchase from you again and again and again. So a good relationship with a customer, one first step to developing that relationship is for you to understand what their expectations are of international artisan suppliers. So I've broken it down into 3 expectations that they have, and these are really the basics. So the first is communication. So buyers in the US when they meet a new artisan brand, they're going to expect that you will respond within 24 to 48 hours. So that's pretty fast. That you're going to be able to communicate in English, even if it's using Google Translate. And that you're going to be available either by email or Skype or WhatsApp or by phone. The second, and we know good communication is so essential for good relationships, right? It goes both ways. The buyer has to be good at communicating as well. So really think about that. Are you set up with somebody who speaks English, somebody who can respond, who's checking emails every day, and who can respond within that window of time to buyers? The second is quality. And by quality, we mean that the quality of the product that the buyer receives is consistent. It's the same as the original sample that they saw. It's the same in terms of size, materials, motifs, colors, and the quality of the hand construction. The third is shipping. So shipping means three things. One, it means that you're going to ship on time. So buyers, when they place an order and you say you're going to get it to them at a certain time, they're planning that space in their store for your products. So getting it a month later, 2 months later, they may no longer have space in their store to sell your product. So being on time is important. Making sure that you know the costs of shipping and that they're reasonable. So you don't want to pay $1,000 for an order and have to pay another $1,000 in shipping. That's going to increase the price of your product considerably. And last is that there's no breakage. So that you're prepared to pack your products and label your products so that there's no breakage and no problems with shipping. So those are really the key for meeting the expectations of buyers. You know, when I talk to buyers in the US and they say their biggest fear when placing an order with an artisan group that's new to them and it's outside of the US, is that that artisan brand is not going to respond to their emails, is going to ship products that doesn't match what they saw, and the shipping is going to be late, and the shipping cost of shipping is going to be really high. Okay? So if you can meet all of those to begin with, that helps set the foundation of your relationship. So when we think about these expectations, you get some chance to think about, are you ready to export to the US? So do you have a sellable product? That's something that we can spend time looking at when I come to visit at the end of September. Do you have a catalog and price list? So you're going to have to be able to communicate your story through your catalog and your product and give them all the pricing information so they can place an order. Do you have regular communication in English? So do you have good resources to communicate well in a timely way, in a thorough way? Can you produce and reproduce your products with consistent quality and reliable delivery? So do you have enough people working with you? Do you have enough access to raw materials and a consistent supply of raw materials? Are there any particular times of the year that you can't produce because you're doing other things, or maybe there's difficulty in the market in obtaining some of the raw materials that you need? Be sure to factor that into your business plan and your marketing plan. Can you pack and ship your products for export so that they don't break and they get there on time, and that you can get your shipment out of all of the export regulations and requirements for exporting a shipment out of Georgia? And last, can you invoice export customers and receive international payments? So these are some of the things that you need to think about, right? Can you answer yes to all of these? Or can we answer yes to all of these together when we meet and work together at the end of the month? If so, then you're ready. If not, then these are the areas that you really need to focus on to become export ready. So what's next? I would love to learn more about you. And I invite you all to send me information about you that's answering these questions? If not, then when we meet, when I am in Tbilisi and attending the EthnoFest, we can have some time together and go through these questions. But I want to know, what products do you make? So send me photos of your products. If you have a catalog or a price list, please share them with me. Also, describe your products. So tell me about the techniques and the materials and the motifs that you use in your products. So send me photos and describe your products. Then tell me, what is your best selling product? What do you sell the most of? You can also tell me what products you love the most if you'd like, but I also want to know what sells the best for you. Next, I want to know, where do you currently sell your products? So please describe your customers. Be as specific as possible. Are these stores? Are these individual consumers? Where are they? How old are they? Where are they from? I want to know more about your current selling, your current sales. Have you sold your products outside of Georgia? If yes, can you tell me, where did you sell them and when? And was it successful, and why do you think it was successful, or why was it not successful? Then I want to know, what do you think is most unique and special about your products? Right? And lastly, please share any other information about you and your products that you think is important for me to know, particularly after you have listened to this presentation. So if you want to tell me about what you think is authentic about your product, or what you think the impact of your product is, please describe it. I'm very eager to learn. So I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this. I hope it answered some of the questions that you have about exporting to the US and selling in the US market. I hope this presentation also created new questions for you, because I want to answer those questions when I am with you all in September. So thank you for your time. And GACC will have a questionnaire with these same questions that you can complete and send to me before I come and see you all. Thank you again for listening.